Cannabis stocks keep getting brutalized. It's getting so bad as if some of these stocks, which some of these cannabis stocks are actually profitable, have no value whatsoever. They're as a company, these valuations are well below their asset valuations. It's getting so bad. I wanted to kind of break this down. What I'm doing on a quarterly basis is trying to update some usual content I put out there. This is one where I'm going to show you price to book ratios on cannabis stocks, showing you how huge of a move downward these stocks are and what a value or undervalued these cannabis stocks are. Let's jump in the computer. I want to show you a couple things. So maybe this could be an opportunity for someone who's kind of scrolling through trying to figure out, I mean, at some point, these are all going up. So let's jump in. Okay, first thing we're looking at is price to book ratio. What is it? Market capitalization, total equity. If you have a certain total equity, say 100 million, 1 billion, whatever it might be, and your market capitalization is, say, 250 million or 2.5 billion, your market capitalization would actually be first in that. I'm going to get that backwards. It would be 2.5 or 250. We look at the 2.5 number, and what I want to do is let's jump into the computer real quick. Here is a list of the 103 cannabis stocks that I have. The S&P 500 was trading about 4.5 about a month ago. I think it's down to about 3.75 now. That gives us a good baseline as to what, generally speaking, stocks should be kind of looked at. The problem with price to book ratio is you get some companies that have their total equity is skewed simply because maybe they don't really make anything and they got a lot of cash. So you have to kind of look at this as a broad generalization as to valuations, but not a set in stone thing. It gives us an idea though. When I scroll down and I look at the price to book ratios in this column here, I've got total equity, and this of course is in millions. So for example, Forefront Ventures has about 50 million in total equity. Their market capitalization is about 220 million. It gives them about a 4.49 price to book ratio, market capitalization to total equity. That's about standard. But when we look at these stocks, you don't have to go too far until all of a sudden the numbers are cut in half. Upexi, which I still want to kind of look at them at some point. Grown Rogue, sitting at 2. And then everything else is kind of below that. Let me do another sort here simply because since the last time I looked at this, the numbers have changed a little bit. TerraSend, there we go, 2.01. All right. Everything else that's about half of where everything should be. But then we get down much further, and the first 30 stocks are the only ones that are above 1, which means over 70 stocks, about 72, 73, are priced below their actual total assets. Their market capitalization is lower than their total equity. They could sell everything and be better off. But this kind of, when you look at these numbers from that perspective, this kind of gives us an idea that these companies are so undervalued and there's no future in them, is basically what the markets are saying. And you have to ask the question, is that necessarily true? Now, first off, and as I've mentioned in many videos over the past 2 weeks or so, I'm loading up more now than I ever have. I have a handful of stocks, my top picks, a couple here and there of others that are not necessarily in my top picks. So I thought, why not? Bang Chocolate being one of them should be one of my top picks. I just think it's a great idea that eventually that company will get bought out. I've been loading up on options, deep out of the money calls. Now, I've gotten a bunch of emails from a bunch of individuals basically asking, what's an option? How do I do this? This makes sense. I get it. But no idea what to do there. I'll put out a video first week of January, which I don't expect any kind of movement whatsoever in the next, say, next week, of course, being between Christmas and New Year's. I know Hanukkah I think just started yesterday. And I'll explain in detail that option strategy so those individuals can really get a good sense of what's going on. But when I look at these valuations based on price to book, I look at them and I say, I mean, these short sellers are literally going to take it in the shorts. My expectation is, and this is what I'm betting heavy on, and I'm going all in on these options, out of the money, about 1 month out, rolling them over week after week after week, a bunch of different options, deep out of the money calls for pennies, with the expectation Biden shows up one day or HHS shows up one day, does an announcement, and basically says, we're recommending cannabis be at this. So when we look at these price to book ratios and you find these undervalued cannabis stocks are so undervalued that they are disproportionate compared to their actual assets. That could be an opportunity to get in. Now, for the record, I've got a buddy of mine who's not exactly sophisticated that much with options. I'm completely on the other end of the spectrum. I have found I'm so involved in the with options and understanding options and understanding the mathematics behind it that I have found textbooks taught at universities that are flawed, wrong, basically telling the wrong information, and those individuals aren't involved in the markets. But I look at this stuff and say, no, that's not right. That's how involved I am with sophistication on options. I live for theta, delta, vega, all those things. Rho, no one talks about Rho too much. So this list, if you go through it on my website, you will find a list. You can go through this, and I'll scroll through it. I've kind of scrolled through it for you. So you can see how many of these are significant. Like here's Dilray, trading at 0.44. Are you kidding me? High Tide, one of my favorite stocks here. This is a company that consistently is increasing their revenue. Their profitability is going to get there. They're trading at 0.88 or 68. Sorry, I don't have my glasses on. Okay, this should be trading at probably, with its growth rate, 6.8, which means High Tide, from a general perspective, should multiply by 10. Going through here, Sundial, less than 0.5. Some of these are just outstanding when you look at these. Hexo, who knows if they're going to get bought out, what's going to happen there. Lowell, and I'm scrolling through here. I know not everybody's one of my subscribers to the website, but you can see, I mean, some of these, and then of course we, get into the negatives. This gives you a perspective of how significantly undervalued cannabis stocks are. I'll put a direct link to this page on my in the comments down below. Subscription required to the website, of course, on this particular information, but I've kind of scrolled through so you can continually do screenshots. I have no problem with that. Nonetheless, look for, this is going up Tuesday. Look for, I'm going to do a broad economic video on Thursday. December's, I tend to shut things down. I was really putting out a lot of content last week, the week before, thinking, wow, something might actually happen here. We've been told Schumer is still trying diligently. I give him less than 50% probability. I give Biden Here's a little heads up on something that I just read. Marijuana Moment. Make sure you go to that guy's website, and if you can't, flip him a couple bucks. Tom Angle there does an excellent job of, you know, updating us on everything that's going on with legalization issues and things like this. So, and I know his main sponsor is no longer with us, and so he could use any help he can get. But I just saw something on Marijuana Moment come through about there's a petition from U.S. senators, and I don't know if there was any House members on that petition, but there was certainly a list of U.S. senators. They were going to send this to Biden, basically saying, just reschedule it, which tells me the Congress has no capabilities of moving forward. Like I've said, less than 50%, but if they can get it done, let's do this. HHS is going to show up one day and say, this is our recommendation. And all of a sudden, everybody's going to sit there and say, what did you just say? Because just like that, cannabis will be federally rescheduled and no longer Schedule 1, which means all these cannabis stocks will be able to uplist to NASDAQ, able to access banks, able to start writing off certain aspects of their company so they can save on taxes. Profitability start going through the roof. And you look through this list, I'll scroll back through it one more. Sorry. You look through this list and you see where these numbers are and the upside potential. I mean, some of these stocks easily multiply by 10. When this happens, all offers are going to be gone. It is going to be the tiniest hole for the short sellers to squeeze through to get any kind of offer to get out of their short position. But then you have guys like me who are buying in the thousands options. Those options traders who are selling me those options, they're going to have to cover that. Then you've got all the Kyles of the world showing up like, hey, I heard cannabis is hot. Let's start buying stuff. Disclaimer, I went ahead and opened up Robinhood, so I can show my guy how to do things because he was having hangups. And so I opened up a Robinhood account. I'm not saying go open up a Robinhood account. I just did it because I couldn't answer his questions. So let me open up an account. How painful could it be? So you can start calling me Kyle. So be looking for that. I'm going to put a lot of content out in the first week of January, kind of getting everything lined up as to what I'm looking for, how I think it's going to play out. I'm going to put together a video specifically on my option strategy so you guys can further understand what's going on there. So you can see the minutia of everything that's going on. There's a concerted effort from the Senate, who those individuals were they worked with Biden. Those individuals are now saying, listen, just reschedule it. And keep this in mind. These same people rolled up on his office back in July, August. 2 months later, October 6th, Biden has a whole new policy. Now all of a sudden we're seeing things shift. Be ready. Have a happy holiday. Whatever holiday aspects you celebrate, be safe. I've got one more video probably this year on Thursday on the general broad stock market and the economy. What do I expect going into 2023? We'll see you in the next video.